A few weeks ago, I did a video talking about how the Crucible 7 role-playing games were a great way to learn about the lore of Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, and the Old World. Understanding the lore better is a great way to level up your gaming experience. It can provide some great hobby inspiration and really helps turn those games to a narrative experience. In this video, we're going to look at the Gnarlwood, a mysterious forest located in the Realm of Ghur in the Age of Sigmar setting. We'll explore the background of the Gnarlwood, including its history and inhabitants. We'll talk about the locations near the Gnarlwood that your warband might have come from or maybe travelled through. Much of that will come from the Soulbound Era of the Beast Book. Then we'll get into the Gnarlwood itself, picking apart all of the info we have for numerous locations within the Gnarlwood. A lot of this will come from the various Warcry background books that come with the boxes. Before we dive into Gnarlwood, let's first look at the realms. Age of Sigmar released in 2015 as GW's new fantasy setting. The core idea around this setting is that it exists within a multiverse. You've probably heard the term from Marvel. If you're a fan of D&D, you might be familiar with Planescape. But if we go a little deeper, we get to Michael Moorcock, a writer who is credited with first using the term in the sense we do today. He is also the inspiration for the classic battle between order and chaos that features across so many of Games Workshop's work. So we're into some really good stuff here. The planes, or realms, are a result of the battle between chaos, which presents infinite possibilities, and order, which takes those possibilities and makes them a reality. In the Age of Sigmar setting, we have 8 mortal realms, each of which is colossal in scale, and would take 10 lifetimes to travel from the center to the edge. The edges of those realms, reality starts to break down, so inhabitants tend to stick nearer to the center, which is where the maps we normally see are located. Although some realms may favour certain races, you can usually find a mix of races throughout all the realms. These realms are commonly known as the realms of heaven, fire, death, life, light, darkness, metal, and the one we'll be looking at today, the realm of beasts. The realm of beasts, also known as Ghur, is a wild and untamed land full of dangerous creatures. The realm is known for its sprawling wilderness, vast mountain ranges, and treacherous jungles. In this land, everything is hunter or prey, and there's always something bigger in the food chain. The majority of inhabitants of Ghur live in tribes with hunting cultures. This includes feral human tribes, ones dedicated to ruinous powers, orcs, and ogres. There are, however, some civilized parts of this realm, as the mortals of the free cities struggle to find a home. The greatest of these is the city Excelsius, which has withstood numerous attacks. To aid in its defense, it has Stormcast from the Knights Excelsior, the Sons of Malice, and the Knights of the Aurora, along with numerous free guild regiments. They are needed, as it sometimes seems like the land itself is trying to fight off these settlements. It's not that surprising when you realise that the continent of Tondia is attempting to eat Rontal, having already partially digested the southern continent. The scale of this place is immense. To get from Excelsis to the Glossum Crevice to its west is said to take several hard weeks of travel. I've not seen a scale detail anywhere, but I think we're looking at fitting North America into Tondia alone 4 or 5 times. Luckily, we still have realm gates, magic, and Kradron skyships to help us get around. The Gnarlwood is a dense forest located in the heart of the Realm of Ghur. The forest is known for its twisted trees, thorny underbrush, and dangerous wildlife. Most notable of these are the gnarl oaks, which you will see in the scenery in the Warcry boxes. These predatory trees more resemble bundles of muscle than tree trunks, and have sharpened branches that can impale and barbed vines that ensnare. Although slow and relatively easy to avoid, they prey on any creatures that might slumber, going as far as uprooting themselves to stalk their prey and feast upon their blood. The gnarl oak is just one of the many predators within the forest. There are shrubs that hunt like wolf packs, vines that drain blood, and flowers whose pollen is a deadly poison. The gnarlwood contains some of the largest and most aggressive of these gnarl oaks, along with multiple other predatory plants. This has been made worse by a Seraphon void ship known as the Eye of Chotek, which crashed into the eastern area of the gnarlwood. The crash caused the ship's realm engines to malfunction, creating a surge in growth in the surrounding forest. In this video, we'll mostly be focusing on the above ground, but the roots of Gnarlwood do create a warren of tunnels beneath it, which is where the Underworld's warbands fight. To the east is the Blood-Gullet Maw Path. A maw path describes the path of destruction the ogres take during their hunts. The middle is the tribe's home, and they ravage the nearby areas. The circle ranges further and further out as time goes on. To the west of the Gnarlwood is the Craw, the city that many adventurers looking for Gnarlwood will end up in. It is a coastal town built into a cliff. It's protected by the Astral Templar Stormcast, who are based out of the nearby Templia Beast Hall, just south of Gnarlwood. Unlike the typical image of the Stormcast, these are heroes of savage hunter tribes, and continue their tradition of mounting the heads of fearsome beasts they have slain. To the north of the Gnarlwood is Urshek's Kill mountain range. Urshek, also known as the White Bear, was a god beast who could take the form of a white-bearded human, although more often was seen as a white bear. He is said to stalk these mountains every 333 years, and is revered by the Astral Templars, who often wear white bear fur in his honour. The tallest of the mountains in this range is Twinhorn Peak, which once was a powerful Seraphon prison that held the god Kragnos, but now bears a huge hole in its side, where Kragnos burst free. The area is considered a holy place to the followers of Kragnos, and is teeming with maw crushes, gorgons, and herds of beastmen. Further to the east is Vetokskal, once a beautiful mountain city of the Draconid Empire. It was destroyed by the god Kragnos and his centaur armies. It now plays host to the Jade Obelisk, who have been destroying the remaining statues of the Dragolith. They battle against the Spider-Fang Gloomspite Gits and their giant spiders, who also inhabit the ruins. Alright, let's get into the Gnarlwood itself. In addition to the flesh-eating plants, the Gnarlwood does have tribes that live within its forest. Terrifying as it might be, if you can work out how to survive in there, then you're safe from the beasts that roam in the greater continent. It is a vast and perilous carnivorous woodland, inhabited by countless bands of vile Gorkin, warped Sylvanats, who delight in slaughter. This is the map from the Blood Hunt box set. We can see lots of different locations marked across Gnarlwood. To start making sense of this, the first thing we need to know about is Honoria Ventalax, who was a human explorer who discovered the ruins of the crashed Seraphon ship. There he found caverns of polished gold, giant jewels, and magical artifacts of incredible power. He didn't have long there, though, and was quickly driven off by the Seraphon defenders. He popularized the legend of Talaxis, naming the ruins after himself, and urged others to recover the remaining treasures. In Excelsis, he managed to organize a second expedition, which unfortunately did lose its way and has disappeared. So in this map, Ventalax's path is the original route he took, and Camp Fortune is the remnants of his second expedition. To the south of that is the Tainted Wood. That is a region within the forest marked by totems and shrines of bone where heathen warriors perform gruesome rituals, sacrificing prisoners to the corrupted trees. The gnarloaks have been corrupted by a strange affliction, resulting in gnarled trees with tentacles and the appearance of rotting flesh. The borders of the Tainted Woods are marked by monstrous, half-living totems and shrines of sinew-lashed bone that radiate warping energies of chaos. Count Maltair is a soul-blight noble who has created a hunting lodge within Gnarlwood. From here he ventures forth on hunts, with evenings spent toasting with goblets of wine. Those of his retinue less interested in hunting have found sport sending waves of undead to attack the nearby Tolomar. Slayer's Cliff and Strongpoint Tolomar are both Sigmarite strongholds. The Astral Templars established the Slayer's Cliff, a lodge keep around the perimeter of the Gnarlwood, to prevent the forest's horrors from spreading. The lodge keep was raised on the site where the Lord Celestant Rajaf the Slayer defeated Nordic warlord. It has served as a fortress against the threat of the Gnarlwood, but the strength of the Templars has eroded, and without some reinforcements, it may collapse entirely. Grozik's Gouge is an unknown currently. The symbol is for the Cruel Boys, but we've got no other info on it. The next big box is for Stormcast versus Flesh Eater Corps, so we're not expecting to see Cruel Boys Warband. But the Chaos Legionnaires didn't come in a big box, so there's always a chance that we might see some Warband boxes to round out the factions. Over to the west, the Blood Mad Ravage is the setting of the most recent box set, which has the Chaos Warband, the Claws of Karnak, facing off against the vampiric Asurgan Trueblades. This region is a gruesome sight, with red, stained ground and trees adorned with headless and mutilated bodies. The Khorne warriors are responsible for this destruction, and look to bring war and carnage to Gnarlwood. The Asurgan vampires style themselves as noble hunters, who slake their thirst on the blood of powerful beasts they hunt rather than innocent victims. The map here does have a section for the bone monasteries. This is a camp the Asurgans have created using the remains of monsters they have slain, with the bones raised as structures to hold back the Gnarlwood. Ultimately, both the Claws and the Trueblades, despite their very different philosophies, are here for the same thing: carnage and blood. Going north, the Great Stinkhorn is a mountain-sized mushroom that stinks out the forest for miles around. Underneath its cap, there are hosts of Gloomspite Gits. North of that, we have the Spinecrawler Webs that are a deadly place, where the corpses of gnarl orcs are wound with thin threads to create a cat's cradle of webs. The area is inhabited by spine crawlers, anthropods with thousands of legs that attach themselves to the victims' backs, burrowing through armor and flesh and extracting the marrow from the bones. Those who enter these areas are rarely ever seen. Over to the west, we have Deadfang's Tower. In the Underworld's Gnarlwood box, we are introduced to King Velmorn, who was the king of the fortress city Centaurion, which at one point lay on the edge of Gnarlwood. This ancient kingdom kept the Gnarlwood at bay with fire and sword, but during the Age of Chaos, King Velmorn made a desperate gamble to save its people. It was in Deadfang Tower that he found the Tyrant's Crown, said to grant the wearer power over life and death. It was, however, cursed, turning him into a White King and slaying all of his sons to rise him again as undead. So these runes have been around for several ages. Who knows who created them or what might still be there. I've got nothing on Krakatooth Gulch, which is a shame as we haven't seen any destruction warbands in the Gnarlwood yet, despite it being in Ghur. The Bone Splitters are briefly mentioned in the Rotten Runebook, so this might be where they're based. Moving over to Skinslough Fane, the Rotmar Creed, which was from the first box, are based there. The Fen is a settlement of several of their warbands. They've erected gruesome corpse totems here to incubate horrible diseases and have them infect the surrounding waters. The Rotmar Creed were originally alchemists from Excelsius, but their terrible experiments had them banished to the wilderness, where they found Nurgle waiting for them. Drake's Rest again is a bit of a mystery. The rune mark is Stormcast, and it's the Vanguard Chamber specifically who are the hunters. The Astral Templars seem to be based around the south and the east of the Gnarlwood, so this might be a new set of Stormcast. We do know we're getting to see more Stormcast in the final box in the series, so it's possible that they could be coming from here. The Ogres of the Maw tribes have thrived in the Gnarlwood due to their unquenchable appetite and ability to digest gnarlwood oak bark. The Butchers have dug pits in select glades to honour the Gulping God, which have sprouted grasping tongues and rows of teeth, seemingly given life by the ogre's faith. They take great delight in throwing prisoners into these eater pits. Going over to the east, we get closer to the centre of things. The Weird Lights are not a specific location, but rather an area where weird arcane lights are seen. The orbs appear to be some sort of manifestation of the Changer of Ways, as the orbs spark mutation. Predators in the area are warped and time is distorted beyond sense. Tribes of Zangors and the Jade Obelisk have settled in the area, attracted by the orb's magical emanations. The Seraphon survivors of the Talaxis Void Ship refer to the scattered wreckage around it as the Sundered Scales, and these runes are often booby-trapped and defended by skinks. The runes serve as a warning to anyone who might try enter the core of the megastructure, and those who do risk being attacked by the ever-vigilant Seraphon Guardians of Gnarlwood. Motzalpota was a Slant Stormmaster who died when the Void Ship crashed. A giant statue created by a skink priest now stands in his place, overlooking the Sundered Scales. The statue has glittering eyes made from star crystals that can blast the life out of impure creatures. In the centre of the Gnarlwood are the Ravening Runes, also known as Talaxis, the remains of the Eye of Shodek. With broken ziggurats and crystals that have not been overtaken by the forest, the outer runes have enough magic to provide some protection, and explorers have built settlements in the treetops called the Canopy of Starlight. The settlement is made of stone pillars and obsidian, strung together by vines and rope ladders. The ship was not meant for warfare, but instead held precious archaeological relics recovered by the Slan and Skink acolytes. It was heavily defended by Saurus sentinels and glyph wards. The cause of the crash is unknown, but there are indications of Tzeentch sorcery, the flames of which still linger. While precious gems and metals are no doubt worth a fortune, the real value of this rune lies in the technology and artifacts contained. Tales tell of items that can forge objects from light, crystalline pools that can restore the dead to life, and vaults that can transport those who enter to a distant section of the rune in a blink of an eye. We've yet to see if Games Workshop will let us peek inside the runes, but even if they don't, you can build your own temple complex. As this is a spaceship, you could even pull out the Kill Team Galadark scenery. Hopefully we'll see some Seraphon scenery with the upcoming releases. The Gnarlwood started as a cute way to sell some jungle scenery, but like the overall Age of Sigmar setting, this has really developed and turned into a pretty rich narrative. It's up to you to work out how deep into the story you want to go. I've had a lot of fun playing campaign games without thinking about story, but taking the time to get more into this has been a lot of fun. Given the similarity between the crash of the Seraphon ship and Mordheim's comet, I think the goal was to recreate that gem. And you know what? I think they did. The style is totally different, but it's a pretty interesting setting. We've probably only got a few more releases before we get into a new season. Fingers crossed GW manages to stick the landing, and I look forward to see what they do with the next setting. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.